to another edition of the JayMac Podcast. This will be another COVID-19 update, all of the latest news and information that I think you need to know, and also some unfortunate side effects of the pandemic on our society today. We'll start out with research that is suggesting that COVID-19 did not come from that market in Wuhan, that it actually first appeared in 2012. This research says that in 2012, about 1,000 miles away from the Wuhan market, deep in a Chinese minecraft, workers came down with a mysterious pneumonia-like illness after being exposed to bats. Virologist Jonathan Latham and molecular biologist Allison Wilson, both of the nonprofit Bioscience Research Project in Ithaca, arrived at their findings after translating a 66-page master's thesis, from the Chinese medical doctor who treated the miners. They think that may actually have been the first case. Now, that doesn't mean that it wasn't spread in that market, but this may mean that it was around earlier. So I just find that interesting as we look for patient zero or try and figure out where this transferred from animals to humans. It's very important that we get that knowledge and that we figure that out because, we want to stop pandemics from happening in the future. And so figuring out who is patient zero and how that initial transmission happened is absolutely critical. Also, another recent breakthrough that is very important is a new way to test people for COVID-19. And now, the reason this is so important, and one of the things that I keep driving home to you in these updates, is that the reason the coronavirus is so different, and the reason why we can't approach it and treat it like the flu, and the reason why we have to be concerned with sending our kids back to school, is because of the length of time that you can carry this illness and be a spreader of this illness without any symptoms. So you can go into groups, you can go into schools, and you can be a super spreader of this illness and never know it. The current tests take too long, they're too expensive, they're too hard to administer. So the idea that you could have a saliva-based test is groundbreaking and very important.
This morning, a breakthrough development in the fight against COVID-19. The Food and Drug Administration granting emergency use authorization for Saliva Direct, a saliva-based COVID test developed by researchers at Yale.
This is one of the most significant advances in the 6 months we've been living with coronavirus.
The new test is far less invasive than the widely used nasal swabs, and it can actually be self-administered. Subjects only need to spit into a tube. And thanks to a simplified testing method, the turnaround time is cut from a week to less than 24 hours, something top doctors say is critical to stopping the spread.
If the testing is done to really determine if you are infected and would you be infecting somebody else, that's an unreasonable amount of time to wait.
But perhaps the biggest game changer, the price. One test could cost as little as $10, making it more affordable to test more people more frequently.
We envision Saliva Direct to be a screening tool for large return-to programs. So whether that's return to work, return to school.
The NBA, which gave around $500,000 to fund the development of Saliva Direct, allowed the product to be tested on some players, coaches, and staff before they reported to the bubble in Disney World.
So again, the ability to saliva test is critical. It's still 24 hours is still too long. $10 per test is still too much. But until we are able to identify those who are asymptomatic carriers and who are spreaders, until we're able to do it, these return to programs that they mentioned in that news story, they are going to continue to be fraught with the spread of the coronavirus. And that's why I think it's too soon to send our kids back. but we're doing it. And so we'll see what happens, but we're doing it. So, and we're doing it without the ability to test like we'll be able to with these saliva tests. So that leaves me very concerned, and I'm not the only one. At least 79 teachers have retired or resigned in Salt Lake County due to COVID-19 concerns. This was a Salt Lake Tribune story. Many are resigning because they believe there will be outbreaks. Some have health conditions and weren't given the option to work online. A few have said they worry about the long-term impacts of getting the virus. Something I've said, we don't know what it means 3 years from now if you got the virus. We don't know 10 years from now. More than 500 teachers protested against the return earlier this month, and that continues to be a huge concern. And I hear everybody out there saying, the kids are immune, or this doesn't affect the kids. That's not the point. It's never been the point. The point is that the kids will carry it to school, then they will give it to the administrators, and they will spread it amongst themselves, and they will return home, and they will spread it to home. This is the perfect way to continue to spread coronavirus, if you ask me. It's a guarantee. It's a lock. Now, if you know me, you know that I love Poetic Justice, that I used to be a sheriff in the Department of Poetic Justice. This YouTuber wins an award and is being deputized in the Department of Poetic Justice for his creation of a brand new product that I know we can't implement in reality, but man, I sure would love to do it.
Nose-revealing, bird-brained homunculi mask holes. It feels like people just aren't wearing masks, and they should be. I'm only talking about America, by the way. This is kind of a uniquely American problem. So what are we going to do about it? What am I going to do about it? Well, I could make a fun educational video about how safe and effective masks are with like a flamethrower on my mouth and a mask, and no. There's so many smart people that have made so many good videos about how masks are safe and effective, and if that worked, it would have worked by now. No, this is not a world of fact anymore. This is a world of opinion and emotion. And if there's one thing that coronavirus protesters actually care about, it's the Second Amendment. That's right, guns. Sorry, YouTube doesn't like that word. It's bullet launchers. And American problems demand American solutions. That's right, we're going to make these people understand whether they want to or not. I'm going to put together the Second Amendment with healthcare. That's right, guns and public safety. Boom! Best of both worlds.
You see, he absolutely needs to work for the Department of Poetic Justice. He put together this air gun that actually launches a mask and it attaches to people's faces without their permission. I mean, is that just the perfect answer? You just go through society and people who don't wear a mask, you just force them to do it. I would love it. And finally, an unfortunate occurrence when it comes to something that many students are having to do because of the pandemic. They're having to take their classes online. And this even has to do with special education students taking their classes online. Well, a 13-year-old girl signed on for her online math class on Friday, and she noticed something strange about her teacher.
A San Jose family sharing this shocking remote learning scene. A teacher at Silver Creek High School logging on shirtless. The photos were taken by 13-year-old Michaela Herrera Avila Friday at the start to her freshman special education math class.
I realized she wasn't wearing a shirt, and that was like kind of awkward, made me feel uncomfortable.
She called her mother. Elizabeth Avila told Michaela to take a picture, then log off, leaving the class of 10 to 15 students.
They're special needs, so they probably don't realize that that's wrong.
Avila went straight to Silver Creek, then to the Eastside Union High School District. She showed them the pictures, asking whether the virtual class was recorded.
They said no, because it's a violation of privacy and it's a big old thing. And I go, but what about the kids? You know, their safety.
Now she's demanding district leaders find better ways to monitor staff.
It's either laugh or cry. Do you really need to remind teachers that they should wear clothes when they're doing their Zoom trainings? Is that really something that you... Yeah, I guess it has. Now, I will admit to you that during several of the Zoom town halls that we did during my campaign for Congress, that although I was wearing a suit coat and a nice shirt, that I was wearing shorts that you couldn't see. I will admit to that. And I think that there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you're sure that the camera doesn't catch that you're wearing shorts. Wasn't there a reporter who got caught wearing the shorts because of the camera angle or something like this? But to log on and not be wearing a shirt, and they've since found out some other kind of not encouraging information about this teacher and some of his online posts, you just have to wonder what's going through somebody's minds. I've been watching NBA and watching the playoffs started today, and I'm very excited about that. And they have these virtual fans. I don't know if you've seen this, but they have these fan walls, and it's got people who are watching the game from home, and you can see an image of them watching. And there's like 10 or 50 of them on per digital wall. And my son and I were talking, and we're just thinking, how are they making sure that people are doing the right thing? It's like it's only a matter of time before something is going to be seen from these digital fans that gives them pause, and then they'll have to stop doing it. If they're truly live. Maybe they're not live. Maybe these are just pre-recorded reactions, but it looks like they're live, because when they're shooting free throws, all the virtual fans start doing the thing, where they're trying to distract the shooter. It's all timed up very well. So that's either a lot of digital pre-processing going on, or they're actually showing you live feeds from the home of fans. And I've just been waiting to see something and then go, oh my, that's the last time you're going to see any live virtual fans. Hopefully that doesn't happen, and people know and understand what's appropriate and what isn't. But, I don't have a lot of faith in that, unfortunately. I think it's going to happen before the end of the playoffs. What do you think?